Hey, Kindred. We're going to take a short break from recording Path of Night between Season 2 and Season 3. During this break, Rob will storytell a Chronicles of Darkness miniseries with Erika, Garrett, Lex, Rebecca, and Tim as our players, and we will also release more Path of Night related content. We'd love to do Path of Night Q&A, so please send any of your questions to our email, our Facebook, our Twitter, or even send over a coffee donation if you would like to do so. We request that you send us any submissions by March 30th. As always, thank you for following the Path of Night.
Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same, so listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the Path of Night.
Last time on Path of Night, Ramirez visits Wynn and Britta and explains that Weathers has rescued Jane. Though the two kindred protest, Ramirez informs them that his group will be facing down Hell House. The three share intel and come to a new understanding. The coterie then gathers and finalizes their plan. Neil, Wynn, and Britta bribe the local wildlife and locate the Sabbat's haven. They stick to their plan despite the Sabbat's horrific hunting. And as the humanities of both Wynn and Neil slip, the abbot Cynthia appears. Wynn, in one fell swoop, takes the abbot's own life. Wynn was on her way out after successfully annihilating the abbot. And Neil was in astral projection, and Britta had initiated a summons on Johnny. And Miles was going to be heading with Johnny.
Beginning of the round?
I think we're going to go straight to the top of the round.
My initiative would then change to 18, as I will be spending a celerity this round.
Understood. Johnny?
I rolled a 1, so I'm an 11.
11. Miles?
15.
Top of the round goes to Britta. Britta, what are you doing?
I am initiating my plan to pick up Neil. Regardless of whether he chooses to return to his body, I'd need him to not be prone. And my plan is to start trying to hide with him, but I don't know how much of this I can accomplish in this round.
Okay, so you're like running into cover?
I am picking him up and trying to run him into cover.
Okay. Next on initiative is going to be 3 characters who all have the same initiative. It is Neil, Jorge, Miles. So Neil, why don't you go?
So I'm in astral projection, basically following Jorge, who is following Wynn.
Yes.
Neil will spend a willpower to manifest, basically as he's running, like inside of an alley, and just look at him. And so, like the weird astral projection form of Neil, because astral projection form does not look like you, right? It looks like...
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
What does it look like? Isn't that the one that represents something true about yourself?
It was how you view yourself.
Sometimes it's like a silhouette. It really depends on you.
Got it.
So what does Neil look like?
Neil manifests real quick, basically like right in front of the guy as he's running. And he looks like a blonde, French-featured man dressed in like 1800s, like not early 1900s spiritualist clothing, absolutely dripping with blood, and manifests to look very much like a idealized and yet perverse image of his own sire, and looks directly at Jorge and says, "I really think that you should just turn around and go home." And we'll try and hit him with the haunting.
Okay, you're going to roll a +2 difficulty.
The difficulty for the haunting is his perception plus self-control or instinct.
7. Then +2 for frenzy.
Diff 9?
Yep.
Okay. Does spending the willpower to manifest count as your willpower extension for the round?
It does.
Okay. 1 success.
Okay, he is haunted.
1 success only lasts for the night.
Only. A paltry.
What can last like last time I hit somebody with it was like a couple of months. Anyway, so he just does that, and then at the end of the round will just sort of disappear. But just this bloody, distorted looking man stands in front of him and tells him he should probably leave, and manifests the powers of madness.
Jorge, once you have taken his attention, will lash out violently with claws at your image. raking and ravaging and doing everything he can to try to hurt you.
Neil looks unimpressed before fading away to nothing.
What's your courage rating?
No, he looks scared as shit. That's yeah, my courage rating's a 2. Neil actually... that's
Pathetic.
Yeah. I'm unimpressed.
He has magic claws. Oh no.
Yeah. Neil, despite not being corporeal, definitely flinches. Yeah, you're totally right. It definitely tries to do the intimidation thing and then just flinches. It's like,
Pathetic.
Maybe like you kind of turn away so like they don't see it as you fade away, but like
no, I don't think of that. My courage is a 2. No, Lex is totally right.
You can make a courage roll.
Yeah, roll to flinch.
yes, best
Roll
roll.
2 flinch.
Don't botch this roll.
-3 humanity.
Do I have to do this?
Yes.
Your difficulty is 6.
Sounds like a yes.
2 successes. I don't flinch.
All right, you hold on with everything. You hold together, and he doesn't hurt you, and you also don't run away.
I don't run away.
It's the most vampire shit I've ever heard. Roll dice to look unimpressed.
Roll for nonchalant.
With 2 successes in my head, Neil manages to hold it together until the end of the round when he fades fully back into the astral realm. And it's like, oh my god.
I did it.
Did I pee?
I didn't even pee that time.
Way to go, buddy.
If you had, it would have been astral pee.
Whose turn is next, Lex?
That's a Miles.
I'm with Johnny, so wherever the fuck he's doing. Because actually, at this point, he got summoned.
Miles
He hasn't
holds
moved
to
yet.
roll
Yeah.
with Johnny.
I think because you're higher on the initiative track than Johnny, you do notice that he is parking up to some unseen force.
Wynn, what you got?
She's not looking behind her. She knows people will likely be pursuing. Not something if this is something she could or would notice. Was he a city gangrel?
Yes.
Okay. Continuing her flight, she kind of dips into the trees to break the sight line, but she starts flying in the direction of 123 Ogden Street.
Okay. You will, at this point, have escaped combat. Johnny.
Johnny looks over at Miles. It's go time. He stands up from where he's been sitting in the bar where they have been waiting for the queue, grabs Miles by the shoulder and starts heading outside. I'm not going to use celerity in a bar because that would be a masquerade breach, and I haven't been summoned that hard.
Yeah, I mean, the masquerade's probably still intact, so there's really no reason to worry about that stuff. And
They're all pretty level-headed people.
But his intent is to basically go outside somewhere, into the alley, where then he can speed away towards Britta.
Miles, are you heading out with him?
Yes.
Okay, so the two of you start making your way outside, get around to a little alley space where there's some people smoking cigarettes, some cloves, and
Celerity action.
celerity actions. What are you doing?
I used my first celerity action. I don't know if that was all of my
You have
celerity.
not used any of your celerity actions.
Okay. I'm just going to try to continue to try to sneak away with Neil to meet with Johnny and with Miles.
Give me a dex plus stealth. Your difficulty is 7. They're on the hunt.
4 successes.
Okay. You will actually make it back more towards where Johnny and Miles are likely coming from. At this point, you're out of combat.
I continue with that same action.
Okay. With Neil, you'll make it to the other side of the street, and we will hop over to Neil. What are you doing?
He's just continuing to freak out in the middle of the street in frenzy now that I've disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, he's not on the street, but out on the lawn, yeah.
Okay. Neil is going to, at the speed of thought, project himself after Wynn just to make sure she gets away safely.
Okay. You will follow her. It looks like she's perching and just kind of waiting it out right now.
He doesn't manifest this round. He just makes sure she's okay.
As Britta is carrying Neil, she has his arm slung over her shoulder, and the tip of his ear is within the side of her vision, and kind of catches for a second just it looking a little odd, but she's got an objective.
Miles.
We're generally within brisk run walk thing to them.
Yeah, you can actually now see Britta and Neil across the street. Neil looks down.
Let's move in. It seems like I'll start moving towards her and keeping an eye out for anybody that's pursuing them.
Johnny, what are you doing?
Johnny sees the two of them and kneels down.
Yeah.
He will rush over to Britta's side and basically kind of scoop Neil up off of her. Is he okay? He'll kind of search over his over Neil's body to make sure that there's to look for where he assumes he's been injured, And then immediately switch to, where's Wynn?
He's an astral, she's an air.
Wait, so what happened?
All right.
Were you successful?
Britta looks down, and it takes her a minute to pull herself together before she can kind of look almost back up to Johnny, but she's more looking at his chin while she's talking than actually making eye contact. And she says, yeah, we got it done. Cynthia's gone.
Johnny nervously kind of looks around for other members of the pack, having kind of now having put together the fact that howl he heard was the pack realizing that their abbot is dead.
So here's what happened.
No, we don't have time for that. We gotta get out of here right now. They're gonna be on the warpath.
Let's go.
Take Neil. Let's go to the vehicle.
Wynn's still an owl.
She'll contact us when she's able to.
Okay.
If Neil's an astral projection, he must be with her. Let's go.
Miles, what car did they go to?
At this point, it is probably the Chevy Blazer we've been using around. The most indescript vehicle that I own. The slightly raised Chevy Blazer. And that's the vehicle we head towards. Has a nice place where we can just slide Neil's body in. So once we get there, I'm hoping we'll get filled in.
Britta's looking for Johnny to get in the front seat before she starts up.
Yeah, Johnny will put Neil in the back, jump into the driver's side, and then take a pretty circuitous route out of here, trying to make sure we don't have any tails or anything.
You drive out. You can't help but keep looking over your shoulder because some of these guys can't actually be seen by anyone but Neil. But after a little while, without any attacks, you start to get a feeling that things might be safe. When the violence and panicked screams and eerie sounds that you hear out around the campus quiet down, and it feels like you might even be alone. Jorge is gone.
Wynn heads in the direction of Hell House. She doesn't make it all the way there. That is a horrible, horrible place to be. But if she did have someone on her tail, that's probably where she'd want to lead them. And she kind of finds that penumbra of where the spiritual plane and the Shadowlands start to sicken around the house. And she kind of perches in the woods on the good side of it. And she just kind of sits as an owl for a few minutes. She kind of shakes her head and kind of clear any viscera off of her beak.
For curiosity, are you looking towards the house or the path to the house?
She's kind of got her head on a swivel. She's an owl, so she might be being pursued. So there's not anywhere she's really not looking.
Gotcha.
She doesn't like looking in the direction of the house, but she does glance it from time to time. And she just kind of sits for a few minutes. She sits long enough to verify that she is not being pursued by anything gangrel. Ideally anything, but specifically anything gangrel. And she kind of curls her feet up onto the branch, kind of adjusting in her owl body as she begins to transform back. And her mind is, it's a beehive at this point. There's so much buzzing. There's so many thoughts, so many what ifs, so many unanswered questions that the noise itself is sort of just drowning out itself. It's white noise of itself. And as she transforms back, she kind of just lets her legs dangle over the edge of the branch and sits for a minute. She knows that she should feel something from seeing Jorge's face as she killed someone he cared about, and she doesn't.
While you sit alone watching the house, there is very suddenly a flashlight shining up on you from down below. You did not see this person there before. Neil, neither did you.
Interesting.
And looking up at you with a dumbfounded expression is Ramirez. Were you just a bird?
Yeah, I was. Hey, Ramirez.
Hey, are you okay?
Qualified term, I'm physically intact.
It was one of those really nervous kind of jokes.
I'm in a weird state right now, I'm sorry.
You look kind of sad.
That's a good thing, I think. I think it's good that I look sad. I should be sad. I should be upset. And if some part of me is feeling it, maybe I'll feel it for real sometime.
He kind of gives a little bit of an apologetic look and moves the flashlight from your eyes. It's not because I was afraid or anything. I was just startled. I don't think you would, hurt anyone. But you've got some blood on your feet, and you're really looking like it's been a long night is all.
I'm going to climb down if that's all right.
Yeah, I prefer it.
She starts shuffling her way down the tree.
Yeah, some good company.
Are you scouting?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what we can before we go do this thing.
What do you see when you look at this place right now?
The stuff of nightmare. Veins, pain. There is something monstrous that's here. And it's twisted everything so much. Not that it's like corrupted or made the place bad. It's worse than that. This place is part of the monster.
Wynn doesn't really... The edges of her mouth kind of twitch up like she's not happy, but kind of relieved that he can see it's as bad as she sees it. You see that too, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of why we've got to do the thing we've got to do.
In the astral realm, Neil is listening to this whole conversation, and he just has a very confused frown on his face.
By the way, you're in the astral plane at the house, so everything Wynn has described before is there. The place is twisted, sick. The house is there. And every now and again you see like something opens the window from inside. Something opens the door from inside. The house has eyes. The house slowly reaches for the world around it. And all sorts of things that houses aren't supposed to do. In an odd way, the three of you sit in the dark looking at it together.
Neil watches the movement of the house in the realm of thoughts, but mostly his eyes are on Wynn and Ramirez, watching from the outside in with a curious frown, like he looks a little bit lost himself.
Wynn, shuffles her feet on the ground, not consciously trying to wipe the blood off, but probably some part of her is. Do you guys have a timeline?
Suarez will know. And when it's time to go, we go. Actually, this is really the first time I've seen anything change about this house in a while, you being here. So that's neat and interesting.
I was being followed. Figured this would be a good place to dispose of someone.
Well, I'm glad you're safe.
Glad you are too. She says that with gladness that doesn't quite reach her eyes.
He turns to walk away and then stops and looks back. This is going to sound weird, and I don't mean to, but I guess we're kind of a couple weird people. But, if you ever want, some clothes, a place to stay, I'd be happy to help.
She tries to smile. I really appreciate that you want to do that, but I wouldn't do that to you.
It's no problem for me.
It would be.
I just, I think people should help people themselves. It kind of gives you a look, and others. And you guys were pretty kind to me one night, so think of it as paying it back.
Ramirez, just so you know, things are about to explode in this city. Things are about to get very dangerous for a lot of people. Keep your people safe. Well, you're not. You're going to go into Hell House, but...
Good thing we've got such dangerous friends.
She does genuinely chuckle at that.
He kind of gives a wave and starts heading off on his way.
Wynn stands there for a minute and kind of crouches down, holding her head in her hands once he's out of sight. And just kind of tries to process everything that she has felt and been supposed to feel but didn't, and what that means. She digs back to her psych textbooks that have been unopened for a very long time, and finally her trail of thought, it starts back before she was embraced in the life she had there, and then she starts kind of working her way forward, kind of mentally grounding herself in where she is now.
What life did she have before then?
Dad was a Korean War vet. When he came back, he opened a boxing gym. There weren't a lot of women there, but he always wanted me there so I could learn how to fight and protect myself. And he and Mom, they were hippies before hippies were a thing. They kind of let me do my own thing and didn't really judge when I came back in real late. Judged a little less when I started throwing up in the morning. Didn't judge when I wanted to be a barback at Dad's bar for Woodstock. But they never got the chance to judge because she didn't come home. Just kind of a nameless victim of Woodstock. And her mind kind of jumps there. Like she doesn't want to remember the moment that she wasn't human anymore. She kind of jumps to the moment of sinking claws and teeth into her sire. Rusty was not the first gangrel she's killed, but the justification for this one was a lot better. And that was kind of the moment for her, was her baptism. It wasn't the moment she became a vampire, it was the moment she took another life for revenge. It was sort of like she'd been carrying a burden for a very long time, and in that moment she set it down. And then, once it was down, she didn't know what to do, so she just kind of picked up the burden and kept walking with it. And she kept walking. And she eventually found Miles. He was a prissy little man. He needed someone dirty to tell him how to be dirty. Someone who could tell him no, or give him the finger when he needed it. Then gradually, Neil and Johnny filtered in, and Joey. She remembers the first moment Joey trusted her enough to slip his little hand into hers, even though they were both just monsters in the dark. And she protected him like she couldn't protect others. And then she remembers seeing Britta for the first time. Something familiar, but not at the same time. Her brain kind of fast forwards through the past few months and stops on when Kabir showed interest in her. She'd been with other people since being turned, but it was not because they had shown interest, it was because they were there, and she has a reptile brain, and she took advantage of the fact that other people do too. But this was the first one who had actually shown interest, and made it known, and kept showing interest. And maybe some part of her wasn't as far gone as just being a reptile brain. And then she kind of remembers where she is, and she's kind of blinks and found that she's started sinking partway into the earth, just so desperate to ground herself that she's literally grounding herself.
As Wynn is thinking about the past and Kabir and begins to fade into the earth, Neil's voice cuts into her head and just says, "No one followed you. You're safe. Come home."
And that's kind of the final key that she needed to kind of open her seagull-y eyes. And she takes a breath that she doesn't need for oxygen, but does need. And takes in through her nose, out through her mouth, and pulls out her phone and clicks to dial Miles.
After the attack against the killing spree, the three of you make it back with Neil's body. Where are you headed?
So Johnny goes for a long circuitous drive, probably actually hops up onto the Merritt, over onto 91 for a while, just to kind of really make sure that nothing can follow him. Then they head back in and head towards the cafe, which is where we've currently been staying, correct?
Yep.
He parks off a safe distance from the cafe. Hey, Britta, you want to check things out in there real quick? I just want a word with Miles.
Britta has been curled up in the back of the car, kind of avoiding conversation, even though she said she would explain. So once she's given that as an excuse, she pops out of the car, nods back to Johnny, and mutters, I'll be back. And
we'll be right there. You see anything weird, you just get the heck out. But we'll be right behind you. All right?
I got it. And she heads on in.
Once she's well out of earshot, well, Seneschal, that went pretty well.
It did.
You've talked to the two top members of the Camarilla in New Haven. You have successfully conducted a raid against the killing spree. When you want to make a move for the crown?
I need a couple more days. I need to work over one of the prince's old ghouls to be a more pliable vessel.
I'll tell you this, though. The killing spree is going to want revenge for what we just did. The second they get a chance to make a retaliation, the fact that we killed their abbot is going to look less like a victory. You need to make this move faster than you want.
Maybe a night or so. I could probably do it, but
I hate to say this, but it looks like it did a number on our coterie to conduct this execution. If you gotta brute force your way through a ghoul to get to Rollins, do it.
it's a time thing. I can do it, but it's not.
I understand.
Yeah, it's not a worry about his particular safety. It's partially detestable, and I'm trying not to completely destroy his own will.
I realize what I'm asking there, but this is a precarious situation, and I think right now the court is as appreciative as they're gonna be for you to swoop in and take the reins. I wouldn't waste that goodwill.
It was always the plan. I did think this was going to go down with more bloodshed, though.
Let's make sure she's not alone for too long. I don't think the kid looked very good. Johnny hops out, opens up the back door, and pulls out Neil. Kind of cradles him in his arms and starts heading over towards the cafe, leaving Miles in the car by himself.
By the time you get Neil inside, Britta is nowhere to be found. Britta.
What's up?
You head inside.
Yep.
Letting the boys talk their politics.
Mm-hmm.
And
What politics?
it's clearly not anything of relevance to you.
Oh, got it.
And as you're, getting ready to maybe put weapons away,
Looking around,
like
like I was told.
you feel an urge to leave, like you have somewhere to be. And it is an overwhelming, soul-crushing urge to leave immediately and go somewhere.
Britta doesn't bother putting anything away, cleaning up. She just keeps going.
Britta slips out.
Leaves out the back.
And you go, and you head right over to downtown New Haven, in the heart of the city. And there, in front of the tall buildings and Gothic architecture, there is a very classy limousine. And you feel the urge drawn to the limo.
Britta's steps are purposeful. She's following in that irrepressible urge to get to that limousine, and before she knows it, her hand's on the handle and she's slid into the back.
There is someone there with you when you get there.
Before I get to the door?
When you open the door and slide in,
Got it.
you immediately know there's someone in there with you. And when you look over your shoulder, you see him. He is very well dressed. His long black hair is slicked back, and he looks at you with ice blue eyes. And you recognize Roman Pendragon immediately. We cut back to Miles and Johnny entering the Haven, and Britta's gone. Her weapons have been put away. Nothing has been organized. She's just gone.
Johnny calls out for Britta. When no response is had, he kind of nervously looks over to Miles and starts kind of casing, running around the place looking for someone.
You hear something break by the back door.
I go towards the
A matte
noise.
black axe is drawn from its place of holding.
You see two things when you get to it. The back door is ajar, and the window beside the door has cracked.
The back door is ajar and the window is cracked?
The window next to it is cracked. A big, huge crack running from, the top right corner to the bottom left. But there's no indication as to what just caused that noise, what broke the glass and caused you to hear it.
Johnny gives a look over to Miles, like, you got to play here?
I start moving out forward. I was like, keep a hand on Neil. And I go out and look outside with the katana. Basically, with the hand on the katana, but it's still sheathed.
You keep your hand on your blade.
Right.
And you check out the door. Roll me an investigation.
Uh-oh, we're fucked.
Do you have your glasses on?
I do, but investigation is a knowledge skill. I have none.
Okay, so you may not roll it.
Right.
Johnny, do you have investigation?
Johnny does have investigation.
Okay, give me a roll.
I have perception.
Between the two of us, we're almost a smart character.
Almost.
2 successes.
With 2 successes, you spot the heel of a boot smudged into silt, like a track left. That's definitely Britta's, and it definitely looks like she was walking at a brisk pace.
Johnny will kind of step out into the back behind the outside of the door and kind of look around. Is there any indication of what did it to the window?
No sign at all of what caused that to the window.
Come back inside. I'm going to give a call, and I'm going to try to call her cell.
Meanwhile, in the limo, Roman Pendragon watches you, kind of in the same way that a lion beholds meat.
Britta slowly finishes the motion of sitting down. I imagine she kind of paused midway through when she looked over and connected eyes and realized exactly what situation she was in. So she'll slowly kind of sit properly and look over, and his demeanor sinks in, and after a few moments, her first reaction is to quietly just say, "Hey."
You can hear the sounds of a storm rolling in. He smiles just slightly. Britta, yes?
Yes?
I'm struggling to convince myself that I shouldn't break you. Perhaps you might meet with more success. And then your phone rings.
Britta does not look away from Roman Pendragon for a few seconds. The phone just seems like a cosmic impossibility at this moment. And it takes that second or two to realize, like, no, that's real. That's a thing that's happening. She looks down at the phone. She pulls it out.
When you go to move, you get the sensation that this might be a dangerous thing to do. But he reaches for you, like right across you, just past you, and gets your phone out for you and holds it out for you. He looks over his shoulder to the driver. Drive. The car starts, and the two of you begin moving.
Britta looks to her cell phone being in his hands and back up to his eyes and just looks questioningly at him for a moment. She doesn't reach for the phone. She doesn't try to answer it.
Answer it.
Okay. She slowly reaches out, takes the phone gently, and flips it open.
Hello?
Hi.
You took off.
I'm watching his reactions the entire time. Like, everything is a pause in case there's any information that I seem to get from his expression or demeanor.
Roman sits back, crosses his legs, and watches.
Intentionally putting up any kind of front. Is he readable?
He looks like he's waiting,
Sure.
but not discouraging.
I, had somewhere else to be.
On purpose?
There's a couple conversations that I need to have.
Do you have this?
Britta accidentally makes a bit of a... how do you even describe that with the face I just pulled?
Apprehension?
Like a, I don't know, kind of face.
I think you just described it.
Yeah, sure. But with that sort of like tilt of the chin towards the concept of that question. Oh, I'd better.
Is there anything we can do?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if there was something you could do. But it's not the time for it. I'll be okay.
Come back to us.
I will. I'll get you back when I can.
I'll hang up the phone.
And Britta slowly flips her phone shut as well.
So why should I exercise kindness?
Why would you want to break me?
Did you leave Boston?
Were you ever going to let us leave?
That isn't what I asked you.
Yeah, we left Boston.
Did I instruct you to stay in Boston?
You did?
And were you taken from Boston against your will?
I could try to split hairs and say that we had to for this domain, but we made that choice.
And it wouldn't be precisely a selling point to me.
No.
So why should I forgive you?
I think it's got its upsides.
I'm listening.
You wanted us in Boston because we're useful to you. We're still useful to you.
Those who defy me are not useful. They are obstacles. And for you, there is a choice. Be useful or be an obstacle. And I understand your coterie has met with remarkable success, but I tend to win my fights, and if roused to anger, you will lose friends. So why should I give you a second chance?
Because you were good friends to have on your team.
Hypothetically, he reaches out to this, very beautiful bottle.
Hey, Lex, how beautiful.
It is very beautiful. And with a bit of showmanship to his body language, he arranges a pair of glasses. He pulls the cork from the bottle and will slowly pour what does not smell like wine into these glasses. And despite his clear interest in destroying you, he offers you a glass.
Britta's eyes flick from the glass to him, as if trying to figure something out. She tilts her knees inwards. I assume they're kind of sitting next to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're side by side.
Adjusting her posture slowly to more face him. And she reaches out, takes the glass, and she can't help but look like she's trying to figure out what it is. There's that glance of how the light reflects on it, how it feels to hold the glass in her hand, and she does not take a sip, possibly in the polite way of waiting that he might pour himself a glass too. Possibly.
He is pouring himself a glass.
And she will continue to wait until he seems to be done.
So you say you're a good friend to have?
I think I'm a lot better of a friend when I'm not broken.
We may have to find out. But in the meantime, he raises his glass to yours. It's a friendship.
So weighing tilt of the head, before she kind of looks down, almost shyly, clinks her glass with his.
Are you wearing body armor?
Oh yeah, I'm all decked out and weird. I'm wearing the leather jacket Johnny gave me. I am fully ready for awfulness.
He drinks.
I'll just wait a couple seconds and then take the sip myself.
You look dressed for war, he says with some amusement. And he reaches out and with his thumb, he sinks it underneath the left strap of your body armor. And with a light tug, the Kevlar rips, the armor breaks, and he just tears it sheer from you.
Well, that's going to have a strong reaction. So Britta is going to... there's a little table, correct?
Yeah.
The wine is going to be placed hastily back down on the table, and she is going to scoot back from him. Confused, expecting attack is her demeanor.
He does not seem to notice your reaction and just sort of continues.
Continues with what?
As he speaks. As you are no doubt aware, I have an interest in New Haven. And as I understand it, there are many contenders coming to the domain in the very near future. Last time we spoke, perhaps I made a mistake and wasn't sufficiently clear. But I would very much like to have a positive relationship with your coterie. But it must be one where I am clearly understood, and that my expectations are clearly understood. And what I expect is loyalty. I expect honor when you speak. Do not lie to me that you will remain somewhere and then flee.
I think that you could kill me right now if you wanted to. I think it'd be easy. I think that you already showed that you're willing to uphold your word. You summoned me here and...
And?
I'd like to trust you. If you would be willing to forgive us, that would go a long way to trusting you.
I am not without mercy, he says, infamous for being without mercy.
As Britta is suggesting that she could try to trust him, she sweeps the hair out of her face that's gotten in the way from scooting away from him. Tries to sort of pull her posture back from protective, but still there a bit. It's still there a bit that she's facing him, but so cautious. Leaning forwards as she kind of gets the last couple of strands out of the view of the conversation.
He seems to lean into it, and again, slowly, he reaches and begins to collect your weapons, one at a time, confiscating them, doing the work of collecting them from you himself, rather than simply ordering you to turn them over.
She lets him.
Tell me, what are you doing tonight?
Killing the abbot of the Sabbat Pack in New Haven. And she looks down. The humanity that had stuck by her despite all of that, so plaguing her, causing that guilt to come across her face briefly, just at the mention of it.
Forget your guilt, child. This is what it means to be kindred.
As a reminder, is he path dead?
He is so low on humanity, it's actually hard to tell.
Ah, okay.
Path dead and ultra low humanity actually look the same.
Yeah, okay.
You have exerted power over your enemies, toppled them, and because of this, those who you cherish can thrive. You will do this countless times. There's no sense in being miserable about it.
She shifts a bit. It's not clear where the discomfort lies in those words, but it's nothing that she's willing to bring up. Just watches him, the end of that sentence, slowly nods with horror, resignment. Doesn't want to be agreeing to it, but she clearly sees the reason in it.
Call your friend and tell them you'll be gone for a few nights.
Okay. Britta picks her cell phone back up and redials Miles.
Miles here.
Cheeriness of Miles' response throws Britta for a second before her brow kind of furrows and she just manages, it's Britta again.
Situation?
I'm gonna have to be gone for a few days.
How worried should I be?
Is there any visual tell that someone is using heightened senses? As someone who uses it myself.
There is not.
Great. There's a pause, Miles, before Britta answers. I think that I'm gonna do my best, right?
I'm getting the sense that we should not interfere.
I'm not sure, but...
Would it make it worse?
I think
would.
you'll... Britta looks down at that. I think that you'll know about this when and if it's your time. With a kind of nod to it would.
All right.
I'm sorry, I...
Don't apologize. Take care of it.
I'll do what I should.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
I hang up the phone, take a deep breath,
And then your phone rings again.
and I pick up the phone again. Miles here.
Well, that was chipper.
Sorry, habit.
I'm good. I'm headed back. Where are you guys?
We're at Britta's. Do you know what's going on with Neil? His body is still unoccupied.
I'll be very honest. I was looking at one thing most of the time, and I did not see what happened to Neil, but I heard him, so I think he's okay.
Okay. We thought he might be trailing you.
He may have been. I can't see him if he is, but I did hear him, so I do think he's okay.
We have a different situation.
Okay.
I'll
you want-
fill you in when you get here because there's not much you can do about it, but heads up, more or less. You guys...
Yeah, that's not really a great note to leave a phone call on, Miles.
Sorry. Britta has been requested to stay with someone. Unfortunately, I don't really know who. I just know it's somebody of a large amount of power. I have a couple guesses, but unfortunately I can't really tell when other people are talking on over the phones. So, she seems to have it handled for now, but she has sort of been taken.
Sort of taken is sort of like a little pregnant.
Yeah. She knows what she's doing.
Does she?
I talked to her.
That the ability to speak doesn't make you intelligent. It doesn't make you know things.
I know the answer. Yes, I understand being forced to say things. Part of the whole thing with Ventru. Right. No, the answers that she gave me makes me feel like she's going to handle it to the best of her abilities. I get the sense...
Britta is like 4 months old.
Okay, she's older than that and been put through a lot of shit in that time. She has been through a lot. And unfortunately, I don't think we have much of a choice here.
All right, well, I'm coming back.
You can yell at me when you get here.
Oh, I plan on it.
I figured.
I don't. I'm angry. It's not at you.
I know.
Why do you put up with me?
Unexpected question.
All right, look,
Because of all of the other coterie, you've generally been the most okay with your unlife. And that is something that we share.
I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be mad.
Yep.
And I'm going to be mad because I need to hold on to being mad at something.
Fair enough.
It's not you, but I'm going to be mad.
All right.
All right?
Sounds good.
No, it doesn't. It sounds like a hell of a night. I'll see you there.
Look, we've had a lot of hell of a nights, and they're not going to stop quite yet.
No, I think we just kicked the hornet's nest here.
We're not done yet.
All right. I'll be there as the crow flies.
You can be a crow now?
No, it was just a poor attempt at humor.
Oh.
I've had a lot of birds around this evening.
All right, we'll see you when you get here.
All right. Johnny and Neil with you?
You look over and see that Neil's still on the ground, and Johnny is pacing back and forth, staring daggers at you, like almost like smoking down the filter of a Morley, like vibrating at the fact that he's just been listening to this conversation and hasn't been able to say anything because he respects your phone etiquette too much.
Half and half.
Okay. I suspect if he followed me, Neil will probably follow me back.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
What the fuck is going on?
I wait for any more. Britta has gone with someone.
Is it Roland's?
No.
You're sure?
Yes. This person is more powerful.
You see his eyes kind of flicker back and forth doing some mental math.
And he has a sense of style. He allowed her to take the phone call. It spoke volumes.
To be fair, Upton wouldn't do that.
Yep.
So, yeah. That's
Well, you don't know. He has a sense of style. You just don't see
Oh,
it.
fuck off.
She did.
it's pretty great from Miles. Yeah, not him. This guy was really cool. I heard thunder and everything.
He knew about presentation.
Do you think it was Setites?
No, there wasn't enough rubbing it in.
Pendragon?
That's a good guess.
I don't know why that happened. Literally thunder.
Pendragon.
Literally every time you say Pendragon, thunder crashes. This is insane.
I caught a sound of a voice. I think it was his, but I'm not good at picking that stuff up.
All right. If we're gonna make a move on Upton, this actually might work in our favor, getting her out of the picture for the time being.
I mean, as long as...
Is Wynn on her way?
She is.
She's safe?
Sounds like it.
And Neil is still unaccounted for?
I don't know. Poke him.
Right.
Nobody knows what's going on with Neil. Hopefully he's just doing Neil stuff, but otherwise, I don't know. He's trapped outside of his body.
We'll give him another 20 minutes, then I'll bring him outside and toss him in the water.
Are we even close to water?
I think he means the gutter.
There's a thunderstorm outside.
It's New Haven. Of course we're close to water.
I mean, not all that close. Like,
Big chunks.
I'm pretty sure he means the gutter.
I'm pretty sure I can leaps and bounds into the water.
I think that's true.
By the way, he is still talking about the gutter. He is not.
Still talking about the gutter. They're gathering up.
All right.
I guess this would be a good time to discuss the plan with them.
Shortly thereafter, Wynn arrives.
Moments before Wynn enters Britta's haven, Neil's body sits back up and looks around.
Oh, he's back with us. You're just about to take a swim.
What? Why?
Make sure it's him.
Make sure who's what him. How are you going to do that? The only one who could tell is me.
This doesn't feel like him. Get your axe.
Oh my god.
No, actually, what's going on with you? You seem different.
I don't think so. I stuck to the plan.
Johnny gives you a kind of a wary look.
I mean,
Something about your demeanor definitely seems changed.
Neil looks significantly less humane.
Yeah.
Wynn should be here, and he just like counts down on his fingers.
When he
until-
reaches the end of the countdown, Wynn kicks the door open. No, she doesn't kick it. She opens it like a regular person.
Johnny, who's retrieved a towel from the back, tosses one over to you the second you walk in.
Wynn catches it like they've done this 100 times. Begins toweling off her hair.
So what happened? Where's Britta? I heard you talking to Wynn.
I'm under the assumption that somebody powerful has requested her presence for the coming nights.
And so we're going to go check in with her, right?
We did.
I heard secondhand from the conversation, but it sounds like she's not in a position to be having anybody else along.
Which also means she's alone with whoever this was. It's not okay.
I don't think anyone said that it was okay.
It's safer than Upton at this point.
Is it?
Is it?
Yes.
I think the three top candidates that could have possibly taken her. Actually, to be honest, it could have been anybody from the court here. Could have been Upton. Could have been Elsa. Could have been Reese for all we know.
Why wouldn't it have been Reese?
But it also could have been Setites.
Okay.
It also could have been Pendragon.
So what I'm hearing
any
is...
one of those.
Don't rabbit hole.
We can't make a move against them.
What I'm hearing is that we need more information. That someone needs to find her and check in when no one else is in the room listening. That's what I'm hearing.
And we were specifically warned against showing up.
Showing up? Were we?
Yes.
By who?
Whoever she's with. We would make her situation worse.
I'm not comfortable leaving her unchecked in with, at the very least.
She called and talked to me.
Mm-hmm. When someone else was in the room with her. It's a very different conversation.
Okay, like I told Wynn, I know how that kind of stuff works.
I'm not even talking about domination.
Yeah, I'm also talking about coercion.
I'm talking about, the physical threat while you're there.
Exactly.
We don't have to do anything if we're just looking, right?
Do you know that he can't see you?
No.
Seems like a big risk if it's going to get her into more danger.
Would he be able to tell it was me?
I don't know.
I don't either. But I can at least find out.
I was just thinking I'd be a bird.
Someone kidnapped a member of our coterie. And she said under duress that she was fine and handling it. I don't trust that.
Actually, she didn't say she was fine, but she said she was handling it.
Your discomfort is noted. The point is, any of the people we just mentioned wouldn't just kidnap her and not be in contact if they didn't want something. So either they're going to release her after a few days, or they're going to be in touch with us and tell us what they want.
Or they're going to hurt her.
It's weirdly... He picked Britta.
Yeah, he did.
Right.
Put some pieces together, Miles. She's in danger.
We're always in danger. We've been in danger since
She's in a
Boston.
different kind of danger.
I actually think she's in a stronger position than we are.
How so?
Because he's talking to her. He wants her attention. He wants conversation.
That's
And
why she's in danger.
I think she's in a better position than the rest of us.
Yeah, you said that.
Elsa has been teaching her for months. This is quite possibly one of the things that she is most ready for.
But we don't know that.
We all do things we don't know about the other ones. I called in with her. I checked in with her. And I get it. I'd rather not be here. I'd rather go out there and send Johnny out to go figure out where the fuck she'd gone, or used your abilities to figure out where she'd gone, than to sit here and wait. But that could endanger her way more. So,
I mean, you do have a point.
we
waited earlier today, and that gave us an opportunity.
Seems like it. And we need to try to trust her. And that's what I am doing. She would have been able to signal in one way or fashion or another if she was truly desperately in need of our help.
Are you sure she didn't?
Thank
She's young. That's what I worry about.
I get it. But she's also had a lot of unknown training on top of it. At this point in time, I'm inclined to not press on this.
So what are we doing in the meantime? If we're not going to go and find her, or at least figure out where she is to send her a message, what are we going to do?
Finally, a question that actually matters. He looks over to Miles.
Wynn is kind of leaning against the bar, flicking things from under her nails and just kind of staring off into space.
Neil just keeps looking at Johnny.
You want to tell him what we're about now?
Johnny is taking the position that he is because Britta's presence would have made this next part much harder.
You're going after Rollins.
Correct.
Wynn looks up.
I've set the stage. I've been working with his ghouls to at least be more friendly with his allies, take over his assets. I've secured the general friendship and or permission from various elders in this court.
If you take princedom from Rollins, and let's say that you're right, and it is, let's look at some worst case scenarios, and it is Pendragon or somebody like that who has Britta. What's to stop him from holding her hostage until you bend the knee? Because she's with him right now, and she could just die in an instant. I'm not saying moving against Rollins is the wrong thing, but I've been talking about repercussions on repercussions for a while now. And somebody who says they want the princedom, as you're about to praxis, has someone that we in theory care about as a hostage.
We've never been safe from Pendragon. We haven't been safe from Pendragon as soon as he noticed us. But by doing this, and possibly for her to work an angle for the rest of us, we may be able to some working relationship, because in the end, the Sabbat are coming, and we're not going to be able to fight them on our own. And the whole reason we're doing all of this is to be able to resist.
If you're worried about him using her to blackmail us into bending the knee, he can do that at any time. If Miles is prince, he has the added stress of worrying about whether or not he's actually got the backing of the court of New Haven. Because forcing some random coterie to bend the knee is one thing. Forcing the prince, who has the backing of the Tremere and the Toreador, is a whole nother.
Knowing us, I really don't think it is. If Miles has already done all the pre-work to get everyone behind him, he doesn't have to bend the whole court. He just has to bend Miles.
We're going to be in a working relationship with Pendragon.
So,
But it's a hollow threat. If he kills her and he is prince, that's a declaration of open war. If he has her and Miles is simply just a venturer of the city, he can kill her, and the prince might suggest that he apologize to his seneschal.
If we kill Upton Rollins, what's Britta gonna do?
Have her blood bond broken.
I'm not against killing Upton. I'm uncomfortable with the thought of leaving Britta alone.
I don't like it either.
I don't think anyone here does. I'm going to be very honest. I don't think any of us are okay with the situation as it sits.
It just feels like we're sweeping past it. And if that's what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. Fine.
I'm just accepting things that I cannot change currently.
We don't have to be able to change it to be able to observe it, to get a better lay of the land. If it looks like he's going to kill her anyway, we at least know about it ahead of time.
Wynn. Where's Romeo?
I can find him. I could call him here.
If there's some way to observe Pendragon without being seen, do it. Just be sure.
Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Venturer was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode was edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was January Grunge Love Fest by Technoaxe. Visit them online at technoaxe.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition rule set of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade is owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at Path of Night Pod, on Facebook at facebook.com/Path of Night Podcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
Miles here.
Tim, what the fuck?
Every time. I can't help myself. Oh, Tim, you're so good. I love it.
Damn it.
Your troll game is so strong. Oh, so proud of you.